Yeah, I'll mention Anna Grant 638 monies. The government seemed to think that program will help what we're talking about here today. What we're here today for is we're praying for the people, uh, asking them to pray with us to solve some of these problems. Excuse me, to solve some of these problems. 638, okay, is a good grant, but if the federal government would realize that in the last 4 years that they have given us 638 grants, as high as $39,000. In the last 4 years, we figured we've got close to $150,000. Now, if they would have let us buy land with that, we could have our own education. We could have our own culture. Even if the government didn't help us, we could learn what these pine trees, what these deer, the salmon, all the uh, uh, things that the Indian need to make themselves like they were years ago. And education, they put a lot of money in education, yet we don't have enough money to send anybody to school, but there's lots and lots of dollars going into that education program. Okay, I was talking about education. In Congress, there's lots of dollars being sent out for education, and yet here at Quartz Valley, we have a lot of people that want to go to school, but there is no money. There's no money. And like the 638 program, I believe that it needs to be checked over, and the people have to come in this area and talk to the people, then promote programs like 638, the Anna Grant, which is administration to the Native Americans, and monies, and there's a lot of other programs, but they're just not being utilized here in this. It's like the people think back in Washington, D.C. We sent out a lot of money, but they ought to come out and see what these monies are doing. And like I say, if we had the land, we could educate ourselves with the land. We can learn back the old Indian ways. If that's what the people want us to do, give us some land, donate us land, and get our land back, and we'll take care of the water, and we'll take care of it, and like we've done a lot of prayer this year because there was a threatening of drought, and I think a lot of our prayers were answered through these culture sessions that we're having here. We prayed for snow for the high mountains, and for years you didn't see water like this in the creeks and the rivers, but you see good water, head of water there now. It's all produced by these little sessions that we're having here, and the Indians are praying, and I suppose there's a lot of other people are praying, but God is and our Great Spirit are all working together as one, as you know, and they're really producing the snow so they'll be on the mountains that we can have all this water. And when Charles talked about Mount Shasta, and he's done lots of Indian religious stuff in that area, and with prayers, and you can see plenty of snow on that mountain this year, and the various other mountains that feed us our wildlife, like the Marble Mountains. I haven't been up there, but I suppose there's a lot of good grass growing there to fatten these deer up for the season when we'll go out to get our share. And the salmons in the river will have good water to swim in, good and not polluted, good streams, plenty of water. The federal government would like us to start writing our Constitution and bylaws as what they're calling the modern times. But due to the fact that we were unlawfully terminated, even with the best Constitution and bylaws that I believe that any organization can have. So now we're going to take it step by step, not get into something that is going to terminate us again. So that's why we're kind of careful, because as Charles was saying, when we were kids growing up there on the Quartz Valley, we had access to areas like the Garden Flat area and Isinglass, Snake Tall Creek and Shackelford Creek, High Peak and Mill Creek, and the Quartz Hill Mountain, where we've learned to have Easter sunrise services on Quartz Hill Mountain, and a lot of plants that we consider as medicine are identified on that hill. And over on the areas where I mentioned Garden Flat, we used to be able to go up there and look for yew wood to make bow and arrows and stuff to use and sort of keep our culture alive. But that all went away in 1958 when we were terminated. And I might also add that the federal government started the procedures in 1953 and sort of snuck it in on us, and by the time we could ever gather our senses in 1958, we were pretty well terminated. So we don't want to get into anything like that again because we lost a lot. So it's going to take time and the right kind of areas to get our culture back again, heritage. And without that, Indian just don't exist, so to speak. We used, I mentioned a while ago, we used Shackelford Creek and Mill Creek, and those various areas that there are campsites right today where we used to dry our winter supply of deer meat, make jerky and stuff. And there's areas there that we used to go to, which we no longer can now because of being terminated in 1958, and also the loggers moved in there and tore a lot of area up, and we used to be able to gather basket material in the Mill Creek area and gathered acorns, and also there was a lot of yellow pine. There was plentiful what they call sudum as a material to use making baskets, and the hazel sticks that grew on Mill Creek and different creeks around there were also used for handles for the basket. So wasn't just any place you can get those. You had to go to certain spots that I identified to get a lot of this material that we're talking about. And on the Quartz Valley Indian Reservation, there was areas there we could pick the willow sticks to make the baskets, and there was plentiful of berries, blackberries, and all types of wild berries was also grown in that area that we're identifying. It's all gone now, so we have to kind of start recapturing some of that stuff in that area, so that maybe our kids won't completely lose out their identity as Indian people.